Hey everybody, welcome back to my Murphy table. I thought what I would do is show you one of the presents I got for Christmas and then the insert that I made for it, because it came with a lot of bits and pieces and I really didn't want to put them in plastic baggies. And I've seen some other games where people have made custom inserts for their games, and I thought, well, I'll try it. So this is the very first time I ever made a custom insert using basically like foam board. I couldn't find, at least where I buy the foam, I could not find just all black foam. So this is actually a white foam board with a black paper on it. And then I'll probably take like a marker. I started with a marker here to kind of color it black, but I might actually take like some black paint. And that way the whole thing looks uniform in color and you don't see, white and black. But what I did was, I have to admit, this is hard. I watched several videos where folks gave great tutorials on how to do this, and it's a lot more difficult than I thought it would be. Mostly because a big part of setting up your layout is just that, where you want the bits and pieces to go. So this is for Heroes of Normandie, and it actually comes with a lot of different pieces. So what I did was I started by actually making a tray area for the cards. And one thing I learned from watching other videos is make sure you leave plenty of finger space so you can grab your cards. So the one thing I did not do was I did not correctly leave enough space so that if I sleeve the cards, they'll fit. These card trays are too narrow. They're long enough. Like, I was partly thinking about it, but I didn't think it all the way through, because the card sleeves not only add height, but they add a certain amount of width. So these are very, very snug, and so I don't think I'll be able to card sleeve them. So that's an unfortunate part of my planning. What I've also done is I made two trays that lay out almost exactly the same. So one tray holds all the German equipment, and then one tray holds all of the American equipment. And so pretty much what I did, there was some measuring involved so I can get like the right size for like the hero counters, these objective tokens that they have. And what I would do is I just pretty much, depending on the size of the tray, I pretty much just stuck my finger in and then laid like the cross piece, so I knew I had enough room so I could reach in. You probably can't see that, but like here, for example, I left plenty of room. I can just stick my finger in. That way, no matter what, I can try to get in here and grab pieces. So just finger room. And that's kind of how this was. A lot of eyeballing, some measuring. And I used hot glue. So I didn't use like the white Elmer's glue, which is what a lot of folks use. And then they'll take like pins, like sewing pins. They'll glue the part into place and then use like sewing pins to kind of give it some structural integrity while it dries. I'm too impatient for that. I like to use my stuff right away. So with the hot glue, one of the great things is the hot glue dries quickly and I'm able to use the tray right away. But one of the drawbacks is, because it dries real quickly, you only have like a very, very short time to place your piece. And I see here the camera luckily distorts it enough so it looks straight, but really this is curved down here. The camera doesn't show it too well, and that's only because I didn't do a very good job in setting down pencil lines. The next time I make a foam insert when I dry fit, I'm going to put a lot of pencil marks so I kind of know where where exactly it's straight, because what I thought was straight kind of turned out to be curved, but the pieces still all fit. And so like these trays here that hold all of my units, I can get in. So those I can get in fine. So even though I might have made a mistake here, everything has a spot. Now these here are the different equipment options. So there's like ammo. So when you do like a points buy, I have all of that there. I didn't think that I needed to have a specific square, like, like ammo. There's several ammo in there, so I was like, well, I really don't need to make a specific tray part just for ammo. I didn't need one to hold just the 3 veteran pieces that come in. So some things I just decided to leave as kind of an open tray, and you can just sort through what you want. Here are the purchase options for when you want to modify your platoon. So you can put these in here, stack them up kind of nice, pull them out when you want to look. But again, those items there are just kind of loose. Here's like the suppress tokens. Again, they fit in there loose. I didn't see the need in making a specific section to where, you know, they all stand up straight. I kind of like a little bit of, you know, randomness. Your damage chits, again, they're just in here. Damage isn't done by randomly pulling a chit. I mean, you probably could, but you actually roll dice. So maybe putting these in like a 1 through 6 might work, but again, they're kind of loose. The other thing I did, I have here the platoons. So this has got the headquarter kind of command element, and then a couple of the platoon elements right here. And I made sure to put a finger space so I can just use my thumb or whatever, pop them out. Here's where you buy your hero units. Well, you don't buy them, but yeah, that's like the hero tokens. They have their own spot. Here, this tray was kind of, this spot was left open, but it just happened to be the right size for that terrain element. So this has very little expandability, so if I really wanted to section it off and make specific spots for specific counters, I mean, I could go that in depth, but for now that holds everything. Right over here, here's all the order tokens. Now it's kind of tight. I left this wall a little bit lower, so I mean, I can get in there. And then once you have a couple, it's easier to get in there and then start really kind of fiddling around and grabbing a whole bunch. But most games you really maybe use like 3 or 4, but there's my order tokens. Spot for the dice, so I can grab them pretty easy. Another thing I did was I made the American tray and the German tray the same. And they stack pretty much perfectly. It's nice. So you just kind of lay one right on top of the other and you're set. And the layout's the same. So platoons, the vehicles, the unit sections. This is a little bit straighter than the other one that was really curved. So you can just finger width to grab everything you need to pull them out, sort through them. Your options, the actual parts that you buy. And then here, because there's some things that are kind of shared by everybody, the boxes are laid out the same as far as the, you know, like the cards, your order tokens, dice. So the American player would get his tray, the German player would get his tray, so you can find your equipment. But then shared components, so like your building destruction markers, these are the tokens that will run like your, you know, when the turn ends, your initiative token. Here's some blast templates and then some additional objective markers. So you know, I didn't want to make like a separate third tray. The way this is designed really fits the box, so you know, I didn't see the need of making like a third tray to hold just those separate components. I suppose if I, you know, really gave it some thought, I could make like the insert cut here and actually make a third insert. So like this would be the American insert, and then all these components, the neutral components, could be pulled out separately. But I figured if you're the American player, you know, it's not difficult to pull out the shared markers that are needed. But so this is kind of like the preliminary design. So the other thing I did to help in stacking with the box. And I'll show you how it stacks in the box in a moment. What I did was, this measures the inside of the box overall, so there's very little wiggle room inside the box. I forget the heights measurements I used, I don't have my ruler, but basically I made the box tray the height of the order token. That way when I start to lay the trays on top of each other, they don't bend or warp, because these are the tallest component of the game. So these were measured to be about 1/8 of an inch taller, and that allowed me to make 2 boxes that stack on top of each other like perfectly. And then around the cards, as I knew the cards are kind of high, or would be depending if you sleeve them. So this section of tray is the same height as the wall. So I did that because this can stack either way. I can put the German on the bottom, or reverse them, and so they're supported not only by the outer wall, but then there's a little bit of support here in the middle of the tray, so maybe there's not a bunch of sagging or warpage of the bottom of your tray. The rest of the tray is about 1/8 of an inch shorter than the outer walls. And the reason I did that, there's reason for that. The game has some terrain overlays, and they're pretty big. They don't fit in any of my boxes, and if I put them in the bottom of the box, that adds height to when I stack the trays. So by making these areas shorter than the wall, I can actually lay them here, and then when I stack the trays, they still fit perfect. So no matter how I stack these in here, so for example, when I put those, let's say I put the German tray on top, it still fits perfect. It doesn't arbitrarily lift the height or put unnecessary pressure and bend on those terrain pieces. So that's kind of the general layout, and then the way they fit in the box. I got a long Murphy table here. Okay, so here's the box. In here, it's a fairly thick box, and what this allows me to do is I can put the 6 terrain overlays, 1, 2, 6, and these are pretty thick, but I lay them in first. And the way I have the tray design, I could even put those on top if I wanted. Then I can lay in my 2 books, the rule book, scenario book. You could even, and the reason why, I even gave this some thought, because I know some people, they'll just put the rules in, kind of stack them on top of each other, but the binding then creates a tall surface because it kind of stacks. So I just spread it out a little bit. That way I don't get one part of the box that has a really tall spine area for the books. Or you can just take them out. But now the trays, they fit, just pops in, and when I want to take them out, I can just grab pretty much any of the walls, pull it out, and then, oops, camera bump. And now I can put, say, the Americans. Usually I put this tray on the bottom. That way the German tray kind of helps put a little pressure here so these don't slide around. But let's see if I lift that. It might be hard to see. But this terrain lays right below the height of the wall, and then you can see there's the box. So if it looks like the wall is higher than if the wall of my tray is higher than the box, is because I didn't cut super straight like I should. And we'll talk about that here in a second. But let's put the lid. that's the box. You know, if I could show you, and then pretty much, I mean, it's nice flush. Now, I wouldn't want to store this in, you know, an upright kind of bookcase position. I'm pretty sure the pieces would fall out of their tray, but the box lies flat. All the pieces are stored and the box lies flat. I mean, it's not the prettiest looking insert, but for what I do and what I needed it to do, it turned out really, really good, other than not being able to sleeve the cards. So we'll just take a peek, and then there you go, there's all your parts. So just some tips. I did not follow the tips I learned online. One of the tips was make sure you use like a boxing knife that you can change out the blades, you know, with the snappable blades. After you make an insert for a game, get a sharp blade. I used X-Acto blades we had lying around that have been used, and they do make for jagged cuts. And that's one reason these aren't necessarily flat, is because the blade didn't always cut as straight as I wanted. So that was more an equipment failure on my part. So really definitely use like a boxing knife. That is really, really good. The hot glue worked great for me. Like I said, probably the biggest thing I would do is make sure when I'm dry fitting to make pencil marks. That way when I'm laying down a wall section, that it would just help make straighter walls. On these short pieces, it wasn't too big of a deal, but like a really long wall, measuring to make sure you have a consistently straight wall so it doesn't like curve at the end. You know, that would help, because the glue, it does dry quickly, so it doesn't give you a lot of time to really kind of shift around. Kind of once you place it, you're committed. But if I do an insert, I definitely will use the hot glue again, but I'll definitely make sure I get a boxing knife. So that's it. That's a lot of time talking about that, just showing it to you. So we'll go ahead and end it there. If you have any questions about how to make the insert that I didn't answer for you, go ahead and leave that in the comments. I'll see if I can respond. I honestly don't know. I don't know what other game I have. I see like my Lord of the Rings co-op game, my Warhammer Invasion, Disc Wars. So I have a couple games I see on my wall that I might do inserts for, because it is a nice finished looking product. It looks slick when you can just open that up and all your pieces are right there organized, not in baggies or anything like that. Not that baggies are bad, but I just think this is a really slick presentation. This, by the way, is only the base game, no expansions. I really don't think I could fit an army box in here as well. So this was definitely just custom built only for the base game. So if you want to expand, you'll have to customize the box that those pieces come in. Sometimes you can order just a platoon. So you would get the platoon and the options that would make up the platoon. I might have room to fit one platoon extra pieces, but very little else. So thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you again later. Thanks. Bye.